Be ready, guys. 5 seconds. Start. If we travel all over India, we see an enormous variety of population in various degrees of development. We see many cultural, political, social and economic disparities. We want to put an end to these disparities and inequalities. But remember, there is a limit to the amount of compulsion that we can exercise apart from the desirability of compulsion. We have to go by consent, not everybody's consent, but the consent of the community as a whole. Apart from this factor, so far as our country is concerned, we have followed a policy in our political field which is somewhat unique. In our political struggle, by and large, we have adopted peaceful methods. An example is the way we put an end to the princely order in this country. We paid for it. But remember this, what we paid for it, however heavy, was very little compared with the cost of a conflict. In economic field, similarly, we want to do away with classes but by the methods of winning over people. I admit class struggle, but I do not want to aggravate it. I do not want to be obsessed with it. I want to get rid of it as far as possible without aggravating the struggle. I dislike comparing my country with others to our advantage or disadvantage because I do not want to criticize other countries. But I venture to point out that where upheavals occur, they are products of history, and the violence, defeat and civic war govern the subsequent events. Some honorable members seem to think that in order to have progress, they must destroy. They think that by increasing the conflict and bitterness, they can have a clean slate to write upon. No country has ever had a clean slate to write upon, not even after the biggest of revolutions. No one should deliberately destroy something which is worthwhile in order to build something which may be good in certain circumstances. I am prepared to compare what has been done in India in the last few years with what has been achieved in any other country. We may have achieved less, I am prepared to admit that, but we must take into account the peaceful and cooperative methods of our approach. You may say that even taking this peaceful cooperative method of approach, we might have gone faster, but I am not sure. The word democracy, I know, can mean many things, but I am talking of what is called parliamentary democracy. There are other methods which may equally be democratic but which are different. Why have we chosen parliamentary democracy? Because we think that in the long run it produces the best results. If we come to the conclusion that it does not produce the best results, well, we change it. Obviously, because we want results. What are the results we are aiming at? National well-being and the happiness of the millions and millions of our people. We have at the present moment a country which is industrially not developed, although we are industrially more developed than any other country in Asia, apart from Japan. I am not at the moment taking into consideration the Soviet regions of Asia. Apart from these two exceptions, India is industrially better developed than any country, certainly more than China. Nevertheless, we are an underdeveloped country. Our standard of living is low. We have got to raise that, and in raising that, we have got to find employment for all our people. What are our objectives? We may define them in many ways, but perhaps one way which is more important than others is to find progressively fuller employment till we reach full employment through increased production. You may also say that greater production ought to imply better distribution. If that is our approach, how are we to do it in this very complicated situation that we are in, with an underdeveloped economy and with very little surplus to invest? We cannot compare our problems with those of the industrialized West because they have had countries, or at any rate generations of growth. We cannot compare ourselves with Soviet Russia. The only country which in a sense are comparable is China, which also has a vast population, unemployment, very low standards and underdevelopment of industries. Therefore, it is conceivable that as they achieve progress according to their ways, we may be able to learn something from them. But China has passed through 40 years of civil war and international war. We had, fortunately, a peaceful transfer of power in this country with a running machine. A running machine has its advantages or disadvantages. I prefer the advantages. The disadvantage may be that you are tied up with certain processes which take time to change. Advantages are obvious that you do not destroy and start from scratch. We started at a higher level, as I said, compared to most countries in Asia. This has led to stability, political, economic and social, which shall help growth. We started planning, as the House will remember, 3 years or 4 years ago with very little data. It is very difficult to plan without data. Gradually we have collected data. Gradually we have made the states and the people in the states plan conscious. All the time we have had to face the terrific problem of food shortage in this country. We came to the conclusion, rightly or wrongly, that in the first 5-year plan the most important thing was the agricultural front. Of course, we are carrying on with the river valley schemes and we have put up factories and many other kinds of plants. But essentially we realized that food shortage was the big problem and we concentrated on that. We did that because we felt that unless we had a strong food basis, our industrial efforts might well be bogged down. Honorable members who have studied the history of other countries probably know that too much stress on heavy industries has produced difficult problems in those countries. In fact, the price paid for rapid industrialization has been terrific in some socialistic countries. I am certain that no country with any kind of parliamentary democracy can possibly pay it. Maybe where there is a dictatorship with an army behind it, they may be able to do it. But even a dictator cannot go too far without the consent of the people. Real progress must ultimately depend on industrialization. That industrialization ultimately depends on heavy industries. Even to preserve our national independence and much more to raise our standards of living, heavy industries are essential. But if we go in for heavy industries alone and not think of the other factors, it is quite possible that our problems will become much more difficult. It is possible also that unemployment will grow. We have to face the problems which China has to face. Of course, we hear many kinds of reports about China. There are good accounts and true accounts. There is terrific unemployment in China. Their own leader says so. They are trying to face it, perhaps in a different way. The same problem comes up before us. We want higher techniques. We cannot progress without higher techniques. But the moment we think of higher techniques, we cause unemployment. We do not want unemployment. We want more employment. We want that no one be unemployed here. People talk about the public sector and the private sector. Does the House realize that the biggest and the overwhelming part of the private sector is the private sector of the peasants in India? That is the real private sector in our country, not the few factories we have. There is much discussion about the public sector and the private sector. I said the other day and have said it more than once that I attach great importance to the public sector. The pattern of society that we look forward to is a socialist pattern of society which is casteless. So far as the Congress is concerned, for a long time past, it has laid down its objective as a casteless classes society, which obviously can be attained only a socialistic pattern. But I would beg of you not to imagine that because socialism conceives of nationalized industry, therefore you must have all industry nationalized. I think that as the socialist pattern grows, there is bound to be more and more nationalized industry. But what is important is not that there should be an attempt to nationalize everything, but that we should aim at the ultimate result, which is higher production and unemployment. If by taking any step you actually hinder the process of production and employment from growing, then that does not lead you to the socialistic pattern. In a country like India, where money, trained personnel and experience are lacking, we have to take advantage of such experience, training and money as we have. We want to make this business of building up India a cooperative enterprise of all the people. We try to avoid conflicts and try to avoid taking steps which have a chilling effect on this pattern. We want to go ahead in regard to production and employment. That is the vital thing, and in order to attain that, we have to create the right atmosphere and encourage initiative. In regard to the public and the private sector, it is obvious that with the limited resources we have in the hands of the state, we cannot do all that we want to do at the present moment.